Hey, what's going on? Aaron Murray here with the Players Lounge, and we're back again at the Classic City Collective. Make sure you go check them out. They're supporting student athletes across the campus here in Athens, Georgia. I got a big guy here from South Carolina, Monroe Freeling, joining me right now. Appreciate you jumping on the show. All right, before we dive into the football, before we dive into why you leave Gamecock country to come to Athens, Georgia, I was told that I'm an old guy. I got some instability with my hips. They're all out of whack from getting my butt knocked around so much back in the day. You're a big yoga guy.
Massive.
Tell me about that. How'd that start?
Well, my mom has been doing yoga for probably like 10 years now.
Okay.
And I didn't really do any of it when she kind of started, but as soon as I got to high school and I started doing sports, she kind of recommended it to me, and I think I don't really remember how I kind of fell into just getting into yoga, but I started doing it and I kind of realized it helped me just feel good on and off the field, just overall, and just kind of body awareness. So, I started doing it, and now it's just kind of my bread and butter. I rely on it to kind of take me ahead of the game.
Nice. How often are you doing it now? And do you go to a studio, or are you doing it on your own?
My mom kind of taught me everything I know for stretches wise, so I just kind of use my stretch bank, I guess,
Nice.
to just kind of work on what hurts and what I. So for example, if I feel really bad in some place, my hamstrings are tight, I'll know exactly how to fix it. So I do it after every single lift usually, and it's just kind of a habit now at this point.
Have any of the guys on the team kind of seen you go through some of these routines and joined in on?
They have. A lot of them walk by, but then I just kind of started inviting people to stretch with me, and a lot of them are just kind of suffering when they do the stretches. And I was there at one point, but I'm putting them on.
It's just consistency. Just consistently do it.
Consistency.
That's what I need in my life.
Yeah.
Give me your favorite pose, no matter what's hurting, just in general. What's your favorite pose?
And it's probably pigeon. I think everyone knows that stretch for the most part.
Pigeon's one leg in front, the other leg behind.
You're basically kind of getting your leg parallel with your body, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then that's just.
What's the crisscross one? That's like this, but you're sitting down. I can't do it because my hips are so tight.
Oh yeah, I could show you, but it's you're basically sitting down and you place your ankle on top of that, and you lean forward.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm not amazing at it. I can't really touch my head to the ground.
But will your legs lay flat?
Yeah, my legs they'll get flat, and I can lean forward, and that's probably the one that is the most underrated in my opinion, because I didn't used to do that, and I couldn't even. I was kind of just like you. I couldn't get on there, but I started working at it, and now it's one of my favorite ones that I kind of end with. It feels weird. It kind of loosens your hamstrings for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know how it does it, but
I would say if you don't have as much tension on your hips, everything else just kind of loosens up from there.
Yeah.
I would love to see you. I don't know if you've done it or not. Going into some studio with a bunch of Georgia sorority girls that are 5'6", and then this massive Georgia football player comes in there and can do the poses just as good as them. Have you ever done that? And people are damn.
I feel like I would, but a lot of the time you go into yoga studios, they're all doing the active yoga and kind of sweating a lot. Yeah. So the yoga I do is more of recovery because I'm not trying to sweat a decent amount.
So you don't like the hot yoga?
Hot yoga is not really. Hot yoga is just regular yoga to me because I'm sweating right now, to be honest.
Big guys sweat. I love it.
Big guys sweat.
All right. I know people didn't come on and listen to this to just listen to yoga, but you did come on. Yoga's good for you, and I might need to see. Yeah, it's phenomenal for you. All right. So I do want to get back to what I brought up first about the South Carolina, Georgia. Obviously, Shane Beamer's got things rolling right now. I'm sure you were big time recruit there to keep in state. Was it tough from family and friends to leave to go to Georgia?
Well, I'm not originally from South Carolina, so it really wasn't a loyalty thing.
Yep.
I felt like a lot of people I knew and a lot of friends that were just around the Charleston area, just South Carolina in general, wanted me to stay home, and I think they were probably a little upset that I didn't. But it really just kind of came down to what I really wanted to do with my football career. And I think that South Carolina might be good in the future, but Georgia's just there right now, and they're not stopping anytime soon.
Well, and obviously they're elite at the offensive line position right now, and you see all the guys that have been drafted and where they've been drafted off the offensive line for quite some time. But there's also loaded with 4- and 5-star guys. So I guess two parts of the question of one, was there never not frustration, but nervousness of they already have all these guys on the roster? If you go back for the past 3 years, 4- and 5-star guys that play your position. And then two, kind of how do you make your mark and earn a spot eventually?
I mean, I don't really have the attitude coming in where, like, man, there's so many guys ahead of me. I mean, I knew there was a lot of guys. They've produced, like, first-round draft picks in the offensive line, probably, 3 or 4 out of the last, 2 out of the last 4 years?
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I know I'm going to come in there and I have to compete, but I think that having those guys there in front of me also helps develop me, too, because, like, the standard's set really high. So, I mean, that's just kind of how I looked at it.
So what do you need to do physically, mentally to continue to work to get a spot on this pretty stacked offensive line?
I mean, I sometimes during the spring I would get down on myself, but then I just remember that I pretty much am playing behind the best offensive line in the country. Mm-hmm. We're number 1.
Oh, damn right.
We're not number 2. Joe Moore Awards finalist this year coming soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, I think it's just kind of taking the weight room strength to the playing field, because those are completely different things. Yeah. I mean, I know some people that really can't lift the weight at all, but when they get on the playing field, they're, trucking people and all that. So that's kind of probably my biggest thing coming into the fall camp.
Yeah. Just go out there and play.
And just.
What are you weighing right now?
I mean, goal weight's 315. I think I weighed in at 312 today.
Damn. You don't look 312 in a good way.
That's my confidence. That's the best
you
compliment
look
I can
great.
get. I'm an athlete, not a lineman.
How tall are you? 6'6", 6'7"?
6'7".
God bless. Did you play basketball?
I did.
Any good?
I mean, I was a big man. Yeah. I mean, then I had a whole coaching situation, but I think I could have put up a lot more points if they put me in more.
Yeah.
I was just getting too many fouls apparently.
Yeah, I can see you just dominated inside. I feel like, how much does that help when it comes to, because always the big thing I feel like nowadays are, 10 years ago, I feel old, but it was all about specializing, just playing one sport. And I feel like you, especially as a big man, if you did play basketball and continue to play basketball, how much that would have helped you play offensive line.
I think when I played in high school, it helped a lot. I think it's a lot of, at least pass protection in football is just basketball, because you're just trying to stay in front of them, and I guess the basket is the quarterback, so you're just kind of just defending them, and it also kind of just helps you stay athletic, because a lot of it has to do with like quick explosion and all that, and just getting up. So I mean, it helped me a lot, and also takes your mind off of football.
Oh yeah,
because you get a little burnt out if you're only playing football. So
100%.
I still play basketball here sometimes.
Oh, you got to. Damn right. I used to play soccer until I sprained my ankle and Coach Bobo about ripped my ass. Yeah. I remember we used to play soccer, it'd be me and some of our kickers, and we would go play soccer against some of the female soccer players, and it was spring, and I landed on someone going up for a header. Ankle blew up. I'm in the training room with Ron, and Bobo comes in there, and he said, "Ron, are there any cameras in here?" And I was like, "No." "What the were you doing playing soccer?" I'm like, "I'm trying to be active. It's the off season. I could be drinking beer at the pool, or I could be, running around doing some soccer." So
I don't really worry about that. But
knock on wood.
Yeah.
You gotta have some fun. Gotta be an athlete.
Gotta be an athlete.
Speaking of Bobo, obviously his evil stepbrother, Coach Searels, is now your coach. How many hat tosses were in your direction this spring?
I'm not sure if I got one, but I don't think I have a name until next year, because right now it's just freshmen.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, but there's multiple freshmen, so how do you know who the hell he's talking to?
You'll know.
You'll know?
You'll know.
You did get a hat thrown one time.
I mean, maybe, but it might have missed me.
You're a hard man to miss, and he's got some hell accuracy.
He's got some. I mean,
I know.
I think there might be a reel that we have on film of him.
I mean, he rears back and just hauls that puppy.
He's got to practice for something.
Well, he does every single day of practice. I mean, he gets his reps in.
Yeah, he does get his reps in.
I always, at least when I was here, I mean, I always feel like the offensive line meeting room had to be the funniest meeting room. I always felt like there was great characters in there. Kind of give us a sneak peek of your interaction with the guys so far, of your enjoyment being in that room.
I mean, I think that, like, Coach Searels enjoys it too, as much as he seems like he doesn't enjoy it in there. But it's really just, Truss, Mims, Said, just kind of really the whole starting group is kind of makes the meeting room what it is. And I don't think it'll be the same once they leave, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'll have to step in.
You have to step up. Who's the funny guy in the room?
I would say Truss. Truss probably takes the cake for being the funniest guy.
Do they rip the freshmen a little bit? Not like mean hazing, but the young guys got to get a little something here and there. I mean, they. I mean, you take the punch as
honestly,
well.
I mean, I grew up with brothers, so nothing really will strike me down, and I won't take anything too personal. But I mean, I really think Coach Searels does most of it.
He's rough.
They're kind of just supporting Coach Searels, I guess.
Yeah. I want to go back to spring, and obviously you're going against. You talk about being behind the best offensive line or working with the best offensive line right now as a young kid. You're also going against the best defense in the country.
Right.
With exotic blitzes, and those dudes are running 4.5s, 4.6s off the edge. How much of a difference is it for you right now, and how much better do you feel from, being a guy that came in when you came in to where you are right now in the middle of summer?
I mean, I feel a lot better. I was kind of contemplating coming in early for spring and just early enrolling, just because I wanted to play basketball, live at high school. But now after going through all of spring and just seeing the new freshmen at least adapt to the conditions, I think it was the best decision I've ever made. Because now that I feel a lot better going into camp now, and I'm actually really excited, not as much nervous anymore, to just put pads on and work on my craft.
What's the hardest part going against this defense?
It's just kind of the twist and stuff sometimes, because a lot of the time you'll be like taking a step to the left, you might be working a double team, and the linebacker will check out the box, and then you have to switch exactly what you're doing on the fly.
How much pre-snap recognition have you gotten better of technique, knowing when a guy's maybe head up a little bit to inside-outside leverage, to where linebackers maybe get lined up, or maybe even seeing some sort of safety rotation? Has that part of the game slowed down at all, or is it kind of just a ball snap, I got to react now?
A lot of it, I'm starting to get a lot, but I think that's another thing I can work on is just pre-snap recognition, because a lot of the time we'll have, motions in the backfield with affects what kind of goes on with decking the linebackers and all of that. So, I mean, it's definitely a lot of pre-snap, but it's just both. A lot of things are moving, which is something that I have to adapt to.
All right, first time in spring where you got hit in the mouth, and you were like, "Oh damn, this is real."
It was so weird from spring, because I felt like I had just days where I felt good, and then it was just kind of like a heartbeat basically. I felt like I was just going up and down. The first practice, I felt good because we had spiders on.
I was saying you had pads on.
But when we put pads on, I mean, you hit rock bottom a couple days, and you're like, damn, am I really meant for this? But then you just got to keep going at it, and that's just the consistency part of it. So I think by the end of the spring, though, I probably got one of the things I probably got better at the most was bull rush and how to take that on.
Yeah. Is a little bit more weight help with that, you think, heading into fall camp? Or should help with that?
I think it was just a technique thing, because I feel like I came in at I was 305 during the spring.
Yeah, so it wasn't weight.
It was more of just as soon as you see the bull rush, how to anchor down and kind of use your strength and leverage to your advantage.
Well, I was wondering, one of my things as I was preparing was obviously you're a big guy. We talked about 6'7", but then I saw the yoga. So I was like, okay, well, he should be flexible enough to still be able to get down there. It's obviously it's not a flexibility issue, but when taking on, say, a bull rush from a guy that's 6'2", 250, what technique has to be better to be able to handle that? Because like I said, it's not flexibility for you.
Yeah, it's more of just adapting to it. I mean, you have to stay low. That's something that you can be flexible. Like, you don't even have to be flexible to be able to stay low. It's
Yep.
just kind of like consistency and getting your reps. So, like, if I have a bull rush that comes at me and I like know they're doing full force, my like immediate reaction is just like hop. That's just kind of the technique.
Yep.
And then I just anchor down. And
Yep.
I think a bull rush is a lot more easy to defend now than just like hands and just moves and all that.
Love that. All right, a couple more for you. Why Athens? Why Georgia?
It was, probably like summer before my senior year, I was going on all the official visits because that was the time. And I went on all my officials. Notre Dame didn't have a great visit, but all of them were kind of neutral. And I actually didn't go on an official visit to Georgia. I went on an unofficial in that period in July. Yeah. So, I already went on all my officials. I was kind of neutral, and I didn't really know where I wanted to go at that point. And then I went to Alabama for like probably like a day trip. Yeah. And then the next day I went over to Georgia because Alabama wouldn't offer me until I went to a camp and worked out and all that. So then I came straight from Alabama to Georgia. And I didn't want to tell Georgia. Coach Searels was texting me like, when you get in here. And I really didn't want to tell him I was at Bama because, felt a little bit of competition going on. But
you should have, so that way you would have felt the heat a little bit. I get a good Coach Searels stories when you're done with this, by the way, too. So.
But I went on the unofficial, and I was just kind of thinking like, oh, Georgia, like they've won a national championship, but was it like a fluke because everyone else wasn't as good? Yeah. And then, I sat down and had a meeting with Coach Smart, and he kind of explained to me when he just kind of talked about putting in the skull sessions. Yeah. And, I really like think about things, overly analyze, and I was like, okay, so it kind of seems like the skull sessions kind of brought everything together. Yep. And he knows what he's doing. There's a reason he won this national championship. It wasn't just the talent on his team. It was kind of the connection in the program he was building. And also, I had a relationship with Coach Searels when he was at North Carolina. So then he came to Georgia, and everything kind of fell into place. And then I thought about it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just kind of pulled the trigger. And I was like, I don't really want to be going through this recruiting process anymore.
Love that. All right, so here's my Coach Searels stories and why you should have made him work for it a little bit more. So I was already on campus. I was already here, been here for 2 years, starting quarterback. We had some recruits in offensive line. We're at the dining hall. Coaches are there entertaining. So I went up, said hi to the offensive line, like the guys that were, juniors in high school, going to be seniors. And one of them was a little smart ass. I'm not going to say his name, a little smart ass. And he kept making Coach Searels go get him like food. Like, hey, Coach, go get me a pizza. Hey, Coach, go get me ice cream. And he's like laughing the whole time, like, I'm making Coach Searels. And so I go up with Coach Searels while he's getting like the soft serve ice cream. Coach Searels like, if this kid commits to Georgia, I'm going to whoop his ass as soon as he gets here. And he committed to Georgia, and he got his ass whooped in that drills that year. I remember that. I was like, you better watch out pushing Searels during the recruiting because he's a hell of a recruiter, but you get on the field, he's going to get after your butt a little bit on the football field as well. So I will always remember that, his kind of like smirk, like, this kid's making me get his ice cream, but he better be ready for the mat drills first year. So great coach. I always leave these conversations with the freshmen like this. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't think you get 6 years because you're post the COVID. So however long you're here at University of Georgia, hopefully an incredible career. How do you want to leave your legacy?
I think one of the biggest things, at least for the offensive line, is just winning the Joe Moore Award. Yep. And that's one thing that will definitely cement your legacy, is just being the best offensive line. So it's more of a unit thing. And also, I'll obviously want to be a first-round draft pick and probably be another one of the offensive line to come out of Georgia and just, excel in the league and kind of just leave Georgia as being, I guess, the OLU for right now. And hopefully Coach Searels, spends the rest of his time here. But it's just what it is. Well,
I know a bunch of guys that vote for that award, so I've been giving them crap from last year of how you picked Michigan. They got mad at me about it. But I'm like, listen, proof's in the pudding, man. Look what they did. So I think you guys got it this year. So go do your thing. Appreciate you, Monroe, joining us right now here at the Classic City Collective. Thanks for joining us for another great episode with the freshmen.
Yes, sir.